What's going on, everyone? Welcome to SwitchFlight. It's your boy Stanley Jr. and I'll be your host for today's episode. Yorishikane, watashi no namae wa Stanley Jr. desu. Myself and BemaR would like to welcome you all to the SwitchFlight channel. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe and join us on our journey. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. So let's get right into today's episode where we'll be reviewing Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee. Now, I haven't had the game for long enough to give you a review that takes into account features that appear further into the story. Just remember that, just features that appear further into the story. I can't comment on that because I've not seen it yet. However, what I will be able to do is give an initial assessment based on roughly about 2 hours on top of gameplay. This review will include my likelihood to recommend this game, some brief comments from other users and non-users of the game to bring about an even slate of pros and cons based on opinion. But of course I will be touching on if I'm generally enjoying the game so far in terms of the graphics and the mechanics of the game and so forth. So guys, on screen you'll see the start of my journey, which I'm sure most of you would have seen already, but it's purely so that you don't see further into the story, which could obviously ruin the experience for some viewers that may be waiting to get the game at Christmas and are avoiding core spoilers. I mean, imagine if you tune into my review and I'm just like, oh my gosh guys, midway through the story in Pokemon, Kirby appears for some random reason and I get to catch him.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Even though it's something that would never happen. But imagine if I just said that and I came out of that, you'd be like, my guy, why are you telling me that sort of information? You know what I mean? So that's the reason why I chose gameplay purely from the intro, starting from Pallet Town. It's the same old stuff, same thing that happened in Yellow version. We've seen Nintendo themselves put out little clips of gameplay showcasing obviously the intro. So we've all seen it. That's the reason why I'm going to use it for this segment of the review. But guys, I have to say I'm actually enjoying the game so far, in all honesty. There are lots of things that I would like to change. I'll go through some of those later on. But for now, we're just going to hear a segment from BemaR and his thoughts of Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's BemaR. I'm not going to be long with you today at all, and the main reason is I have not played Pokemon Let's Go. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But the reason I haven't played Pokemon Let's Go is because I was not a Pokemon Go fan. I just did not like the game. I did give it a try. Of course, there was a lot of hype around the game when it came out, but I just could not get into it. I am very much a core Pokemon fan. I know there are people who are both. They enjoy Pokemon core games and enjoy Pokemon Go. I am not one of those. When the new core game that is promised to be released next year comes out, you can guarantee I will be there. If they do midnight releases, I will be there at some game shop in the UK. But for me, this game, there's just too many changes outside of the core mechanics that are a bit too much for me. I may have got the game still if they had at least had the battle mechanics, even if they had some of the Pokemon Go mechanics, catching the Pokeball, you don't want to catch a Pokeball, it'd be useless. But catching the Pokemon, if that mechanic was there but they left the battle and the training in the game, I probably would have got the game. I can't lie. I've literally been that picky with this game, and it's because I just really don't like Pokemon Go. So I'm sorry Pokemon Company, you did not get your support from me, but of course you did get it from the other Switch member, Stanley Jr, so I will allow him to do a much better job of reviewing this game, because I know that at this moment it's not all doom and gloom. So I will pass it over to Stanley Jr, and hopefully you'll hear back from me in the very near future regarding Smash.
And there we have it. We've just heard there from BemaR on the line giving his view on Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee. Now obviously, as you can tell, BemaR wasn't in the studio today, so he wasn't able to give a full breakdown of his reasons for not getting the game, but I've spoken to him on numerous occasions and we've had discussions of what we like about the game, what we don't like about the game, and I think he gives perfectly justifiable reasons for his choice not to buy the game. So without further ado, I'm going to go through a series of questions as my bulk part of the review, and they're basically going to be straightforward, easy questions to understand, easy questions to answer, and I'm going to give you in the simplest terms how I feel about the game. So let's get into it. So the first question says, what qualifies you to review this game? So in my opinion, I think anyone can review any game. I was born in the 90s, so I was lucky enough to go through the games such as Yellow version, Blue version, Leaf Green, Silver and Gold. Sapphire and Ruby, and so on and so on. I probably missed out a few, but the point is that I've gone through those stages from since I was born, really, playing these games. So when you play the game long enough, you know, you've played your Smash Bros from the beginning, your Mario Karts, or 2K. You've played 2K for several years, and obviously present day you're playing on 2K19, or you're playing on Smash Bros Ultimate that's about to come out. You're able to then compare from when you first started playing, whether that's a year or that's a couple of years, and draw a comparison based on your own opinion of how you feel the game is, which should then qualify you at the very least without having to be an expert gaming reviewer. And the next question says, what are your views on all the negative reviews that are being put up on YouTube? And now I've played Pokemon for so many years now, I can completely understand and sympathise with, you know, those avid Pokemon fans that chose not to purchase Pokemon Let's Go. And I think it's important that we remember, regardless of all of the bad reviews that's going up onto YouTube nowadays that I'm seeing of Pokemon Let's Go, we have to remember that everyone's entitled to their opinion. So whether they like the game or not, I think the other important thing to remember is that a lot of these are massive Pokemon fans. They're all massive Pokemon fans. So for them to bring themselves to give a bad review on it must mean that there are some aspects of it that they're probably not enjoying, which is why they chose not to buy it. When you know normally, or every other year that's a Pokemon game's come out, you've seen their videos going up, they're loving it, they're doing their walkthrough videos, they're doing their episodes and so forth. And at the end of the day, we're all paying customers. So, for example, let's say you buy a car, BMW. You buy a BMW, and every year you seem to upgrade to the next model, whichever model comes out every single year, because you're such an avid BMW fan. You buy the next model or you upgrade it every single year. Let's say 2025, a model comes out and you absolutely hate it. You don't like the shape, you don't like the performance, you just hate everything about it. Or maybe not as far as that, you might not like certain aspects of the car and you think, you know what, I'm going to pass for this year, I'm going to get the model next year. Let's just say you decide to do a review and it's predominantly a negative review. You're still entitled to give that negative review, especially to those that would normally upgrade their car. And in the case of Pokemon, those that would normally buy the Pokemon game anytime one comes out, they're entitled to give that review. And that's just my opinion on that. And the next question is, what were your first impressions of Pokemon Let's Go? For me, I was entirely skeptical about Pokemon Let's Go. There was times on the build-up where I was thinking, you know what, I'm not going to get this game. But I think what sold me was that I've seen some of the trailers. The graphics looked amazing, which I'm going to get onto in a bit. So I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. If I don't like it, you know, I'll just put it to the side and wait for Smash to come out. But to be honest and direct to the question, based on the information that was being released prior to the game release, I wasn't entirely happy and I wasn't sure if I was definitely going to get the game. And the next question says, what are your thoughts on the graphics? I mean, on screen I've just put up, you know, Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon Gold, Heart of Gold, Sun and Moon, just to have a look at the comparisons in terms of graphics to now. And I think it's clear to see a massive difference from those previous gen games. And obviously Pokemon Sun and Moon is probably the closest in terms of graphics to what we've got now. And I think it sort of set the benchmark on what we should expect really for a game that's going to be put on a console that has the capacity that it does. There are small features as well, so I've just paused it there so you can see the cloud just passing by there, the shadow of the cloud, the ripples in the water, the sunlight shining on the river. Just those little bits of features make all the difference in a game, especially when you're paying, you know, £40 to £50 or dollars. You expect the best really, you expect all those little bits of attention to detail. I'm just going to put a little clip here just for you to have a look at. You probably would have seen it in the SwitchFlight intro. It's where Caterpie is evolving, and just to have a look at the graphics and also just appreciate how it looks really. When I first seen it on actual HD TV, I thought, wow, that actually looks amazing. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to merge two questions together. The first one is in regards to battle mechanics, and the second one is in regards to the new way of catching Pokemon in terms of obviously the wild battles. Now here's where my negativity starts to creep in terms of Pokemon Let's Go. I don't like this new way of catching Pokemon. I don't like the wild battles. I'm very retro in terms of the original way of how it was supposed to be done, which is
sort of why I sort of fell in love with the game originally in the first place. You know, being able to go out there, battle your Pokemon, just like what happened in the original anime series, and then catch them. So I feel like the younger generation are missing out on a great experience of the original way to catch a Pokemon, which obviously was to weaken the Pokemon first. You know, send out your Pokeballs, hope for the best, and if you catch it, then you take it to the Pokemon Center. If you've got enough space in your party, you heal it, and then you start trading it up again. Or if obviously it's been sent straight to the PC, you go back, you get it. So it's you know, it's that whole process of taking care of your Pokemon. Even though you weakened it originally, you take it back, you get it healed up and stuff like that, and then it becomes part of your team. And that's what's happened in the anime. That's what I watched when I was younger, and that's how I thought that the Pokemon Company would continue in the same way with the games. Obviously they've took a different direction, which is fine, but I think some of the original Pokemon avid fans like myself, it's a big change to make, I think. And I do hope that in the next game that comes out next year that they don't continue in this way, that they bring back the wild battles. That's such an awesome part of the game, and it's somewhat evident that they've tried to compensate for the loss of the Pokemon wild battles, to which you could potentially argue that there's an increased amount of trainers that you can battle now, and the added feature of XP share, which obviously we know has been in previous games, but in this game XP share can be increased for the whole party based on if you catch a Pokemon, and also the size of the Pokemon that you catch. So that's something that they've added in, possibly to compensate. You know, back when we used to be able to fight wild Pokemon, if you did for whatever reason get the wild Pokemon to faint, then obviously what would happen is that you'd see your XP rise, whereas now obviously you're not able to battle, so that XP isn't able to rise in that form. So when you do catch a Pokemon, you will see your XP, you know, it will rise quite rapidly actually, especially at the start of the story. You'd possibly see some of your party members rise by 2 levels, sometimes 3, depending on who it is that you've caught. And on screen you'll see that I'm at the point where I'm about to catch my first Pokemon, which is Pikachu. So they don't give you the option of using a berry just yet. A berry is used to somewhat distract the Pokemon, to make them like you more possibly. However, obviously this is not a tutorial on how to catch a Pokemon, so I don't really want to ruin the experience again for those that haven't played the game yet. On the intro it will explain to you, it will give you the instructions on how to catch the Pokemon, it will give you the instructions on how to use the Joy-Con correctly, and it will give you instructions on how to make it easier for yourself when catching Pokemon, such as using berries. But I'm not going to go into that for now. And this new method of catching wild Pokemon, as much as I didn't like it originally, it's quickly grown on me in all honesty. And like I said earlier, I've only done about 2 hours worth of gameplay on Pokemon Let's Go, so it does show you how quickly you can get used to the game, and I feel that's only if you're open to trying something new. And I feel like if you come on the game and you're completely negative, and you're not open to anything new, then you're only going to see negative throughout the game. You're not going to see any of the positives. But don't get me wrong, like I said, even though I've got used to this new way of catching Pokemon, that does not mean that's how I would like it to stay for future gen games. I would prefer it to revert back to how we originally had it with Pokemon Yellow and so forth, all the way up to Pokemon Sun and Moon. I much prefer that method. I think it's more fun, and I would like them to change it back. However, obviously for this game I'm willing to give it a chance, as the feature is what it is right now. If next year the feature is still the same, so that you can't battle wild Pokemon, then I'll definitely have a big problem with it. I feel like this should just be purely for this game. They've released it now, they've seen the feedback that they've got from the majority of people. A lot of people don't like it, some people do, which is fine. I don't like it, but I'm willing to persevere with it, but not for the next game. And in terms of actually catching the Pokemon, I use the right Joy-Con stick, and that's purely because I am right-handed. The game actually advises that when using the Joy-Con, you utilise the strap accessory to attach to your wrist for safety reasons, so that obviously when you are catching a Pokemon you don't accidentally throw the Joy-Con and break it, or break things around your room or environment that you are in. However, I decided, obviously I'm doing a review, I'll try and use it without the strap, just to see if it's still playable, if it's still safe to do so. For me it was safe to do so. I didn't drop it once, I didn't feel like it was going to slip out of my hand. I feel like the Joy-Con is quite comfortable in your hand, it sits right. However, I still wouldn't advise, obviously, the younger viewers or anyone that's planning on buying the game to not use the strap. I'd advise you always, if Nintendo has advised that you use the strap, if Pokemon's advised that you use the strap, then it's best that you obviously use the strap, because maybe it's happened a few times where people have tried to catch a Pokemon and it slipped out of their hand and it's damaged their controller. So I would never advise, from my side anyway, that you do what I tried. But you know, sometimes for me personally, unless I've already got the strap attached to the Joy-Con, I can't be bothered to get it out, and you know, just little things like that. The next question says, have you ever been a Pokemon Go player? And as I've mentioned previously in this episode, I've never been a Pokemon Go player. However, I don't feel that you need to have been a Pokemon Go player in order to play Pokemon Let's Go. I feel like they've set it up in a way where new people that are probably joining the Switch that have never played a Pokemon game before can sort of ease the way into understanding the mechanics of the game, how to play it, which possibly could be setting them up for the next year, where they're probably going to bring back all the features that we know and love. Hopefully. Please, Pokemon Company, please. The next question says, what have other people you know said about the game? So as you know, you've already heard from BemaR. Another person that I've spoken to, his name's Pocket, and he lives in Europe, and he's purchased Pokemon Let's Go for himself and his children. However, he did say that he's not had a chance to go on it yet, as they've been on it 24/7. And Pocket did mention that, you know, his kids are quite young, so there were certain aspects of the game that they were struggling with. However, the new feature of co-op mode enabled him to then join into the game session and, you know, help them on the part that they're struggling with, and then leave them to continue on with the game. And I suppose this aspect of Pokemon Let's Go's co-op mode sort of stays in lines with Nintendo's beliefs and their values that they wish to continue on within their generation consoles, which is to keep families together, to keep them interacting with one another, and not to be entirely separated, you know, with this whole new online virtual system that's going on nowadays, where people are interacting with each other but only through party headsets and things like that, and takes away that person-to-person interaction. I know that when I was young and I used to play Nintendo 64 with my brother and my cousins and things like that, it's some of the most funniest experiences that you have, you know, just being able to all be together and play at the same time and in the same room. You know, it just brings about a different atmosphere than that of one that you'd have, I don't know, over a phone on a conference call or over Skype, or like I said before, in a party headset. So hopefully Pokemon games to come will continue in that vein, where they give that option of being able to play co-op mode with your friends or with your family. So as we're drawing near to the end of this episode, I'm just going to go over my thoughts on the difficulty of the game and whether or not I'm enjoying the game overall. In my opinion, I feel like I'd be lying if I said the game was difficult in any way, shape or form. I think for the first 2 hours of gameplay which I've played so far, it's extremely easy. Including the first gym. Everything you could possibly do in that whole section you could do with the first character that you choose, mine being Pikachu. I could do the whole of that section with just Pikachu without having to swap out. However, one of the other aspects that I didn't get a chance to touch on is when you go to a gym, it has special requirements. So if I'm going to Brock's gym and he's predominantly a rock type Pokemon trainer, it requires you to either have a grass type or a water type. So to me that indicates that Pokemon are trying to compensate for possibly younger viewers or people that have not played the game before and are basically unaware of which types are most effective against others. However, for seasoned players that have played Pokemon games for years and years, you automatically know. If I was to do a quiz right now and I said what type's weakest against flying type, what type's weakest against steel type, you'll just be able to, straight off the top of your head, you'd say automatically which one's the most weakest. So for me that feature is more of a hindrance more than anything else. You know, for Pokemon trainers that want to give themselves a challenge and they want to use a Pokemon type that maybe isn't the most effective against a specific type of Pokemon, but is, you know, can do the job basically, you might want to do that. And this new feature has never been something that's happened before in any Pokemon game that I'm aware of, and there's a reason for that, because it's boring. You want to be able to challenge yourself in whatever way that you can. So to me that's again a hindrance. But on the other hand, I suppose again they're trying to, you know, steer you in the direction of catching Pokemon. They don't want you to stick with just the one Pokemon. They don't want you to find certain types of Pokemon and then stick to that and not have your water types or your fire types or whatever the case is, just using that as an example. Even throughout the game you can see the aspects of where every time you win a game they're giving you 3 Pokeballs for free. I've never experienced that before in any Pokemon game. It's always something you've had to go to the Pokemart for, and you buy that yourself with the money that you earn from battling Pokemon trainers. So Again, they're steering you that whole direction of being able to catch Pokemon, catch as much as you can, which again for me is another feature that just makes the game a bit too simplified. And finally, am I enjoying the game overall? No, I'm joking. Yeah, I'm enjoying the game overall, and despite all the negatives that I've pointed out in this video, I still for some reason keep picking up the game to play it. So that's some form of an attachment, and I feel like any gamer who's gonna play the game with an open mind will feel that sort of attachment where they're like, you know what, I'm going to play the game today. In fact, I want to get a bit further in the story tomorrow, so I'm going to play it tomorrow as well, and etc, etc. So what I won't do is give it an overall rating. That's purely because, like I said at the beginning of the video, it's just an initial base assessment. So when I get further on into the story, I'll probably do another video just recapping some of the stuff that I've spoken about just briefly, and then giving an overall rating really and how I feel the game is as a whole. But what I will say in terms of the graphics are second to none. I absolutely love it. It's probably part of the reason why I continue to play the game, because of how good it looks on my actual TV screen. So probably not so much on handheld. It still looks really good on handheld, but not as good as it is on the TV obviously. So definitely keep a lookout for that video when I release that one further into the story.
So that's it for today's episode, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment in the section below. We hope to see you soon. Sonja.